Hare Krishna. Good morning.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So let me offer prayer, or maybe one of you can already start reading. We will read from verse 1 to 22. Who would like to read today?
I would like to read Prabhuji.
Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 29. Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapila. Devavati inquired, My dear Lord, you have already very scientifically described the symptoms of the total material nature and characteristics of the spirit according to the Sankhya system of philosophy. Now I shall request you to explain the path of devotional service, which is ultimate end of all philosophical systems. Devahuti continued, My dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for me and for people in general, the continual process of birth and death, for by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. Please, please also describe the eternal time, which is a representation of your form and by whose influence people in general engage in performance of pious activities. My dear Lord, you are just like the sun, for you illuminate the darkness of the conditional life of living entities. Because of their eyes of knowledge are not open, they are sleeping eternally in that darkness without your shelter, and therefore they are falsely engaged by actions and reactions of their material activities, and they appear to be very fatigued. Sri Maitreya said, O best among the Kurus, the great sage Kapila, moved by great compassion and pleased by words of his glorious mother, spoke as follows. Lord Kapila, the personality of Godhead, replied, O noble lady, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of different qualities of the executor. Devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, who is separatist, is considered to be the mode of darkness. The worship of deities in the temple by a separatist with a motive for material enjoyment, fame, and opulence is devotion in mode of passion. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inebrities of the fruitive activities, his devotion is in mode of goodness. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to the hearing of transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as water of Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy is uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. A pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation. Salokya, Sarsti, Samipya, Sarupya, or Ekatva, even though they are offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By attaining the highest form of devotional service, as I have explained, one can overcome the influence of three modes of material nature and be situated in the transcendental stage as is the Lord. A devotee must execute his prescribed duties which are glorious without material profit. Without excessive violence, one should regularly perform one's devotional activities. Devotee should regularly see my status in the statues in the temples, touch my lotus feet and offer worshipable paraphernalia and prayer. He should see in the spirit of renunciation from the mode of goodness and see every living entity as spiritual. The pure devotee should execute devotional service by giving the greatest respect to spiritual master and the acharyas. He should be compassionate to the poor and make friendship with persons who are his equals, but all his activities should be executed under regulation and with control of senses. A devotee should always try to hear about spiritual matters and should always utilize his time in chanting the holy name of the Lord. His behavior should always be straightforward and simple, and though he is not envious but friendly to everyone, he should avoid the company of persons who are not spiritually advanced. When one is fully qualified with all the transcendental attributes and his consciousness is thus completely purified, he is immediately attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing of my transcendental quality. As the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches a sense of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness can catch the Supreme Soul who is equally present everywhere. I am present in every living quantity as a super soul. If someone neglects or disregards that super soul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. One who worships the deity of Godhead in the temples but does not know that Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in every living entity's heart must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers obligations into ashes.
Thank you.
Is that all? Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I think we'll cover this hopefully in this session. Thank you very much. Before we proceed, how did you find the reading?
It was good, Prabhuji. I think I'll get a good explanation of all these modes in this, in today's session.
ॐ ज्ञानातिमरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकथा मह्यं ददति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलान् श्रीगुरुवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं हरिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवदुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। So we are in this chapter 29 in the Canto 3, explanation of devotional service by the Lord Kapila. So last chapter we were discussing also the Sankhya philosophy which was presented by Lord Kapila to Mother Devahuti, and after that she would like to understand more aspects and prominence of pure devotional service. This is what is in the first two verses. It says, "My dear Lord, you have already very scientifically described the symptoms of total material nature and the characteristics of spirit according to the Sankhya philosophy. Now I shall request you to explain the path of devotional um service. Why? Which is the ultimate end of all philosophical systems." So we have heard already about different kinds of people who come to devotion, to the path of bhakti. Some are coming out of some feelings. Some come to devotion out of some knowledge. Some comes out of some experiences. So in these different ways, uh, people finally have to end up at the uh, position of accepting devotional service as everything. And this is one, from reference of this chapter 3, Canto 3, chapter 22. We see this, that Devahuti was explained about the philosophy, Yeah, usually we think that if without philosophy, how can I accept anything? Yeah, and what is the purpose of philosophy? Is it just knowing, or is it just actually applying, or is it more than that? So, after hearing to the philosophy of the material world, which is comprising of 24 elements, what is the nature of that, and how it influences people, everything was explained. And now Devavati wants to know, okay, knowing is nice, but what to do next? And this is what is the question, which is ultimate end of all philosophical systems. Devavati continued, my dear Lord, please also describe in detail both for me and for people in general the continual process of birth and death. For by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. So here Devahuti is saying that, Lord, please tell about the 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 effects, or the how will be the time of birth and death look like? What will happen? Hmm? Not to know and prepare, or to get scared, or to get some uh, encouragement to engage ourselves in material happiness. No, the purpose is that here it's mentioned, for by hearing of such calamities, we, being humans, can come to this question: why, after all, we should enter in this cycle of birth and death, which are calamities, which are the kleshas, which are not going to solve our ultimate problem. This is going to only kind of give another opportunity to suffer in this material world. So please also describe the eternal time, which is a representation of your form. So people may be quite interested in topics like death only if they are kind of having a lot of fear. Because of that, what they may think, oh, no, 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 I need to find a way out so that I will not meet death. So in that way, there's so many research works that are going on, so many things that happen just with the plan to avoid death. Hmm? So, and in that process, people will say, hey, let me solve my real problem, which is death, rather than taking shelter of the Lord. I will do all arrangements, very, very nice, advanced car, very, very advanced way of living, so that my life, oh Lord, you have given me only 100 years. At least this 100 years I want to live king size life. So what I will do, I will arrange myself to live in a gated community where there is security, there is watchman, there is facilities at the doorstep. Everything is there so that I want to fully be enjoying, because I know the time. The time is very. After all, I have learned. I have seen people dying. Uh, I will. I will. I mean, I won't be an exception. So I know that I might also will be coming to the situation. So what I want to do is, uh, I want to take shelter of not the Lord, of the means of prolonging the life as much as possible. So here, this is what it says. People also please also describe the eternal time, which is the representation of your form. When we don't know this, when we see that death, or when we see this time is not under is not the Lord himself, is not the Lord's energy, we may tend to worship the time, or worship all the means, to save our life. Yeah, in that case we think, oh, death is such a dangerous thing, or death is the ultimatum, death is so many things, so that we prefer not to die and find all the ways. But we see here it doesn't matter. At least from the shastric evidence we see that this eternal time is also uh, representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in performing pious activities. So yeah, so this gives us a kind of what are the questions that Devot is asking, and Prabhupada is in the first 1-2 verses is giving the summary of the whole chapter, whatever I wrote. In the 29th chapter, the glories of the devotional service are elaborately explained, and the influence of time on the conditioned soul is also explained. So, two things: the glories of devotional service, the path of bhakti is explained, and also what is that energy of the Lord which keeps us in this world is also explained. Huh? The purpose of elaborately describing the influence of time is to detach the conditioned soul from his material activities, which are considered to be simply a waste of time. We are talking about time, and when we really want to appreciate the value of time, we have to engage in activities that is in line with the time. But whatever we do, if it is only to prolong our life or to have a comfort in our life, to enjoy this life, yeah, not even thinking about next life, how to manage good fortune for next life, or even avoiding a next life, if we are not thinking all these things, it is simply waste of time. This is what bhakti yoga is. The basic principle of all systems of philosophy. All philosophies which do not aim for devotional service to the Lord is considered what? It's a mental speculation. So this is usually we come across that all philosophy, I think we also discussed recently in Bhagavad Gita class, that all philosophy which does not aim for devotional service. So knowing a lot, yeah, these days we have access to so much knowledge, but if it doesn't develop, if it doesn't nurture, if it doesn't um, groom the devotional service in our heart, then all that knowledge is just waste. It is only something like uh, uh, engaging our knowledge to avoid devotion. Sometimes we say, no, today is this, today is that, we should not do this. So through the means of shastras, we want to escape devotion. That is not encouraged. And there are two classes of men. Some considers themselves, no, the other one, but of course, bhakti yoga with no philosophical basis is more or less sentiment. So these are two things. One is only having knowledge but not engaging in devotional service is waste. And second waste thing is to have only no philosophical basis, but just thinking, okay, practicing something what is like a blind faith is like a sentiment. uh, because I thought, like, I want to fast for so and so, because the Lord will be pleased, because that, because this. If we just see others, if we are inspired by them, but they are inspired by someone, and they are inspired by someone else, and in that way, we do not know to trace from the Shastric evidence what is reference for what. Is it only by repentance? Is it only by atonement the Lord is pleased? No. So this is what. Vibhu? Yeah. This is some consider themselves intellectually advanced, and some simply speculate and meditate, and others are sentimental and have no philosophical basis for their propositions. Neither of these can achieve the highest goal of life. So Vedic literature therefore suggests that there are three elements, namely the Supreme Lord, the devotee, and the relationship between them. Bhajana. Hmm? Bhajana is the activity or kind of engaging in devotional service. Bhaj is the Lord, to glorify. And to glorify the Lord, there should be some person who glorifies. It is the devotee. So these are the three things that are to be there in order to engage bhajana, which is one of the devotional limbs. Sankhya philosophy is the analytical study of all existence, but one has to understand everything by examining its nature and characteristics. But one should not simply acquire knowledge without reaching the goal of life or the basic principle for acquiring knowledge, which is bhakti yoga. If we give up bhakti yoga and simply busy ourselves in analytical study of nature of things as they are, then the result will be practically nil. No, it is like the example we can feel here is that of a guy who knows he has no he has great knowledge of how a whole a gym works, what kind of equipment are there for what purpose, and uh, who whom to approach, the trainers, what facilities are to be carried with them. But ultimately, if he doesn't go to the gym, the whole purpose of knowing will not build any inch of a muscle. So it's of waste. So then, so if we give up bhakti yoga and simply busy ourselves, it's not going to bring any value. huh? So it is stated in Bhagavatam that such engagement is like something like husking a paddy. There is no rice grain in it. If you just they take a paddy and just keep husking, there is nothing that's going to come. But the scientific study of material nature, the living entity, and the super soul, one has, by that study, has to understand the basic principle of devotional service to the Lord. So, usually we see that science is science, God is God. But here we understand that to realize uh, God, we can make use of science. But if our curiosity, inquisitiveness is only to understand the nature, come on, I don't care about God, I don't believe God, I am pakka atheist, I am proud of it, and I can live in this forever, because there is always this question anyway there. Not only now, it was there 100 years back, 1000 years back, even before. So this question will always be there, and there is nothing, no concrete answer to conclude it. So let me live my way of being atheist. So it will not bring also advancement. So that is the importance of this 1-2 verses. So and then we see that here persons, people who have no knowledge of this material world, God, and their actual intimate relationship with Him, are actually going to the darkest region of material existence in the name of progress, in the material advancement. So this is what is stated here, that this will not bring us success. This will only, because all of us want to be successful, but this will not bring us successful when we do not know what it is. It is said that samstri, samsriti means samsara, related to the samsara. If one is the continued journey on the path of birth and death towards the darkest region of existence, instead of that, Shreyastri means prosperous path of advancement towards Supreme Lord. So these are two different paths. One is taking to hell and other is taking to advancement. Hmm? To enter the darkest region of material existence, what does it mean? One may think, I don't care. After all, darkest region means nightlife can be having full flow, full facilities will be there. Now, what is it? In the name of progress, in the material advancement of civilization, what we are doing, if we enter in the darkness, then it means what? To enter into not darkest regions in the human form, but we have to accept, we are forced to accept such kind of bodies which are suitable in those darkest regions. So it could be a dog or a hog or whatever, and we may not, or we don't want this kind of life. To enter the darkest region is that ignorant men do not know that after this life they are completely under the grip of material nature, and will be offered a life which may not be very congenial. Uh, how a living entity gets different kinds of bodies. Yeah, we know from Bhagavad Gita that one takes into one of the yonis based on our karma. Uh, so this continual changes of body in birth and death is called samsara. Devahuti requests her son Kapila Muni to explain about this continued journey, to impress upon the conditioned souls like us that they are undergoing a path of degradation by not understanding the path of bhakti. So in that way, these questions are not just kind of that was a one-to-one discussion that happened between Kapila Muni and Devahuti, that is very intimate between them. It is only its personal thing. No, It is for the welfare of everyone. Kalasyeshwara rupasya paresam cha parasyate swarupam bata kurvanti yad deto kusalam jana. So please describe the eternal time. Kalasya Ishvara Rupasya. Kalasya means time, who is none other than the representation of the Lord. Paresam, of all others. Parasya, that is the chief, which is the representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in performance of pious activities. See, I want to know about time, that factor time through which everyone is bewildered, everyone is on his toes, everyone is feeling the heat, yeah? The purport. However, ignorant one may be regarding the path of good fortune and the path down to the darkest region of ignorance. We may be thinking, okay, there are so many books about hell, there are so many books about heaven. Who has seen hell? Who has seen heaven? No one has seen. What is the proof? So I can go with my interests with full speed. जब आएगा तब देखा जाएगा. In that spirit, but at least one thing we can see, one thing we are able to see is death. That at least we can understand. Maybe we have not seen the other planets, we have not seen other facilities available in different regions, but at least here we see that death, the body is born at a certain time, and immediately the influence of time acts upon it. From the date of birth of the body, the influence of death is also acting. The advancement of age entails the influence of time on the body. If a man is 30 or 50 years old, what does it mean? He is influenced by the time for so many years. Everyone is conscious of last stage of life, when he will meet the cruel hands of death, but some consider their age and circumstances, concern themselves with influence of time, and thus engage in pious activities so that in the future they will not be put into a low family or an animal species. So this is a Pakka business strategy, that at least, oh Lord, you are not so merciful upon me in this life. You have given me all difficulties. You have given me all conditioning. At least next life, I want to be very much comforted. For that, I came to know this is the way. By doing pious activities, you will be pleased. So let me engage in these pious activities so that tomorrow, at least, my future is better. Which is a business model, that I give you something, you give me something. Generally, people are attached to sense enjoyment and so aspire for life on heavenly planets. Therefore, they engage themselves in charitable and other pious activities. But actually, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, one cannot get relief from the chain of birth and death even if he goes to the highest planet Brahmaloka, because the influence of time is present everywhere within this material world. In the spiritual world, however, the time factor has no influence. Time is there, but time factor has no influence. So in that way, this is, and now comes the very important verse, inspirational verse. Lokasya mityabhimatir achakshusasas chiras prasuptasya tamasi anashraye. I mean, these first two lines is telling that you are just like the sun of your for you illuminate the darkness of conditioned life of living entities. But what is the darkness? What is happening because of it? Because their eyes of knowledge are not open. Shrantasya karmasva anuvidhaya diya tvam avirasi kila yoga bhaskara. This yoga bhaskara is very nice word, which tells that, hey, you, I mean, we these days want yoga, and here is saying that is yoga is ultimately the goal, and who is illuminating the Lord. That's why he is called Yoga Bhaskara. So here is saying that because their eyes of knowledge are not open, they are sleeping eternally in the darkness without your shelter, and therefore they are falsely engaged by action and reaction of their material activity, and they appear to be very fatigued. So we are so much tired every day. Morning maybe is starting little fresh or little lazily, depending on how much stress we had last day, or how much interest we have to pamper ourselves more. Based on that, the day starts so, and slowly when more activities go on and on and on, and finally we say, "Oh, I am completely tired." Mm. So it appears that Devahuti is very compassionate for the regrettable condition of people in general. And what is that regrettable condition is who, not knowing the goal of life, are simply sleeping in the darkness of illusion. This sleeping has two. One is literal sleeping, which is also staying ourselves in the condition, and it also sleeping in illusion is opening our eyes wide open and then still not able to see the reality of life, reality of our life, reality of the nature, reality of the material world, and that is also sleeping in the darkness of illusion. It is the general feeling of the Vaishnavas, hmm, that he should awaken them. So Vaishnava means compassion, and Vaishnava, out of his compassion, takes the voluntary accountability, not no, or at least voluntary responsibility to change the world around him. That hey, every one of us are sleeping. Let us wake up. Let us wake up. In that way, there is this transcendental alarm in the form of Vaishnavas around us who keep on alerting us that we cannot afford to miss this chance. Just imagine, it is 11:30 in the night. We are in the Brussels airport, and if we miss this bus, we may have to wait for again a long time because this is the last shuttle to go, and then we are stuck there. So yeah, who can help us? Uh, Again, we have to pray to the Lord, but the Lord is already telling what we should do, what we should have done. When we do not follow, then who has to have the reactions? It is the Jiva. So here we see that we should. That's why illuminate our life. Devavati is requesting her glorious son to illuminate the lives of the conditioned souls so that their most regrettable conditioned life may be ended. The Lord is described here as Yoga Bhaskara, the son of the system of all yoga. So approaching Devahuti approaching Lord Kapila, who is the light of all the yoga systems, is so valuable, so that we are not bewildered with so many different kinds of yoga systems spoken by so many different people, and then think all these are different and what to do, what to avoid, all these things. No, here Devahuti is asking the right source, and through that we understand what is the best. Devahuti has already requested her glorious son to describe Bhakti Yoga, and the Lord has described Bhakti Yoga as the ultimate yoga system. So the only, I'm just going to the last line here. This is very important. Sleeping in that darkest region, one does not get any refreshment, but rather gradually becomes fatigued. Hmm? So if one engages only in caring for necessity of the body, not caring for eternal necessities of life, then he is part of civilization whose advancement will just put in the ignorance of ignorant region of darkest region of ignorance. So this means that we have to alert ourselves every day to come out of this in order to hope for real welfare. So in that way here, this purport helps us to understand that we should approach Bhakti Yoga, which is the like sun-like illumination for delivering the conditioned souls, whose general condition is described here. They have no eyes to see their own interest. They do not know the goal of life is not to increase material necessities of existence, because the body will not exist more than a few years. The living beings are eternal. and they have their eternal need. If one engages only in caring the necessities of the body, that will only be leading to downfall. So this is such a I think there is also a purport which gives what is that goal of life for success, which we were discussing last week on Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday when we went to Zurich temple. So here this says that what should be our focus? Our focus is not just to manage this world, this life, yeah, but actually be thinking what is the ultimate purpose of this life. So, and then he's asking, and now Maitreya Rishi is telling, now Kapila Muni is so satisfied by the questions asked by his mother, and then he starts speaking, giving all the answers. So he starts classifying Sri Bhagavan Vacha Bhakti Yogo Bahuvido. This is a Marger Bhamini Bhavyate. So here he's saying that Bhakti Yoga are of many paths. Marger Bhamini Bhavyate. So there are these paths, and these are Bahuvida, multifarious paths, and Swabhava Guna Margena. Pumsam Bhavo Vibhidyate. And these are divided. How Vibhidyate is based on the appearance of the executor. Based on the executor, then these appear to be different. Just which means Bhakti Yoga is one path, and understanding that in different paths because of people thinking can lead to different paths, but ultimately it should be towards the main Bhakti Yoga. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness is one. So it is not so many. Is one because in pure devotional service there is no demand from the devotee to be fulfilled by the Lord. I will repeat again. In the pure devotional service, pure devotee has no demands towards the Lord, which means anyabhilashita sunyam. So there is no desire, no any desire, and is it in this one? There is no motive. It's not here. It will come later. There is no motive for the devotee. The only thing he has is that it is the condition of a living being. Because of that condition of living being, he is executing devotional service. That's it. It is not because of there is some motivation, there is some result to be acquired. That is the reason a devotee should engage in pure devotion. No, it is his own internal, his inert, natural position is to perform devotional service, and he is doing. That's it. A person who is distressed because of material conditions becomes a devotee of the Lord and approaches the Lord for mitigation of his uh, distress. So I am in here in this purport. There is mention about 4 kinds of people, because Kapila Muni is saying there are multifarious paths, but ultimately there is only one, which is the goal, which is pure devotional service. But 4 people, Bhagavad Gita 7:16 is saying that one kind of person is one who is distressed. People who are not purified, they will have purposes. And what kind of purposes? One who is distressed because of material conditions become a devotee of the Lord and approach the Lord for mitigation of his distress. Means, Lord, please, I am taking shelter of you. I cannot tolerate what kind of suffering I am going through. So that kind of people. And a person in need of money approaches the Lord to ask for some improvement in his monetary condition. Some people says, "Man, if you give me 1 rupee, if you give me 100 rupees, I'll put in your hundi. I'm not going to keep everything with me. I'll also give you something." So praying for what is it called, opulences, not spiritual opulence, only interested in material wealth. How can I multiply my account? That is the interest of person. So one person is who is distressed, which means one who is beaten left and right, so that he thinks, no, uh, I want to be relief from this suffering. So please, hey Bhagavan, give me some relief. Someone is having already solved that problem. No problems. What I want is, I don't want to have tomorrow problem. So increase the money. So pray for that. Others who are not in distress or not in money, but are seeking knowledge in order to understand the absolute truth. They are more eager to acquire knowledge. Yeah, their their finance situation is managed. They have no problems. Now they are thinking, oh, there should be something I want to know, acquire knowledge so that I can experience jnana. What is it called? The bliss coming out of knowledge. Others who are not, I mean, yeah, and then the final one is the person, and then there are people who are inquisitive. They want to inquire about the nature of the Supreme Lord. So these are four kinds of people. In these four kinds of people, there is still some desire. Some desire. This is yeah. Actually, the path of devotional service is one without a second. But according to the devotee's condition, devotional service appears in multifarious varieties that will be explained in the next verses. What is the first one? First one, devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is a separatist. The meaning of separatist will come in the next purport. He is considered to be in the mode of darkness. So in this, everyone is bhaktas, but this bhakta is envious about to see others' advancement, envious to see uh, uh, if other person is glorified. A person is kind of not appreciating others, but he want to be appreciated by others because he thinks that he is great. This is the nature of to be proud. And a person who is proud, who is having false ego, obviously his the byproducts are to be violent. Yeah, because if his um, if his pride is hurt, then he cannot tolerate, and then he engages in violent activities and become very angry. So these are the qualities of person who is in the mode of ignorance, and that a person who is in mode of ignorance also can practice devotion. No? But what will happen is mentioned here. He is considered to be in the mode of mode of darkness. And from Bhagavatam we see it has already been stated in Bhagavatam first canto second chapter that the highest and most glorious religion is the attainment of causeless, unmotivated devotional service. That is the topmost. Bhaktir Uttamam. That is the topmost. In pure devotional service, the only motive should be to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the only motive. And next line, that is not actually a motive, that is the pure condition of the living entity. So that pure condition enables a person to practice pure devotional service. So it is not a motive that I have to practice bhakti. I think, I don't know, you remember in one of the Sunday classes, na, Hema Gauri Madhuri, what does this mean without any desire, performing something and without any motive? Yeah, bhakti itself is performance. There is nothing, no reason to perform it. Why? Because it is a nature, pure condition, the natural state. But in the conditioned state, when one engages in devotional service, he should follow the instruction of bona fide spiritual master in full surrender. Why? The spiritual master is the manifested representation of the Supreme Lord because he receives and presents the instructions of the Lord as they are by disciplic succession. But if one has a motive for personal sense gratification, his devotional service is manifested differently. Such a man may be violent, proud, envious, and angry, and his interests are separate from the Lord. What does it mean to be separatist? Is when the interests are separate from the Lord's interest, then a person is a separatist. Bhinna, what is the word used here? Bhinnadrik, I think. Yeah, Bhinnadrik, separate vision. When one's vision is not aligned with the Lord, then he is Bhinnadrik. Bhava, there is another word that will come in the next verse. And then one who approaches the Supreme Lord to render service, but who is proud of his personality, envious of others, or vengeful, is in the mode of anger. He thinks that he is the best devotee. And now this is very, very, very important for us. And we have to literally take it as it is. Devotional service executed in this way is not pure. It is mixed and is of the lowest grade, tamasa. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur advises that a Vaishnava who is not of good character should be avoided. A Vaishnava is one who has taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the ultimate goal of life. But if one is not pure and still has motives, then he is not a Vaishnava of the first order of good character. One may offer his respects to such Vaishnava because he has accepted the Supreme Lord as the ultimate goal of life. But one should not keep company with a Vaishnava who is in the mode of ignorance. So basically, when we are longing for association, we have to be careful with this principle. Vishayan abhisandhaya yasa aishwaryam evava archadav archayed yo mam pratak bhava sa rajasaha. Before this, so this means when we are in a group of devotees, coming back to the previous, what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying is, yeah, someone is also doing worship, I am also doing worship, but if that person has so many plans that he is in the mode of ignorance, when he is in the mode of ignorance, what is happening is we are also affected by that influence, because he is not yet purified, he has not understood what is the purpose of bhakti, so he is just carrying. So we may think, no, he is also a devotee. When he is also a devotee, what is wrong to be with him or her? So let me also be there. What is happening? Each of them are pulling them as down as possible. They think, bhakti, nothing. Because there is no, I'm not getting taste. And what is the taste of bhakti for them? The taste of bhakti is recognition. I am, after all, I have read books. After all, I have understood things. Why people are not accepting me? Why people do not appreciate me for? So they are in the mode of this envious, in the violent, in the anger, in the proud, all this. Because of that, a person, though he might thought like, okay, by practicing bhakti I am going to be successful, but he has no interest in it, so he is in the lowest form. And being in that association, it means like being with a person who is a hypocritical devotee, so to say. Maybe we can call it kind of a bogus, like on, for public I am a devotee, internally I am not a devotee. I know I have to take, because there is no choice, I have to take Lord, but if there would have been a choice, I would have taken that path. So that is in the mode of ignorance. Vishan Abhisandhaya. So worshipping of deity in the temple by a separatist with a motive for material enjoyment, fame, and opulence is devotion in the mode of passion. And the word here that is used is pratak bhava. So in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning who is a separatist. What is the Sanskrit word is Bhinnadrik and pratak bhava. A separatist is one who sees his interest as separate from the Supreme Lord. So mixed devotees or devotees in the mode of passion and ignorance think that the interest of the Lord is supplying the orders of the devotee. The interest of such devotee is to draw from the Lord as much possible for their from the Lord as much as possible for their sense gratification. They see that Lord is the reservoir of so many things, and my interest is to get benefited from him by pleasing him. And this is the separatist mentality. Actually, pure devotion, and in this purport, I think, no, next purport we see the pure devotion is explained in the previous chapter. The mind of the Supreme Lord and the mind of devotee should be dovetailed. A devotee should not wish anything but to execute the desire of the Supreme. That is oneness. When the devotee has an interest or will different from the interest of the Supreme Lord, this mentality is called separatist. When the so-called devotee desires material enjoyment without reference to the interest of the Supreme Lord, or he wants to become famous or opulent, or by utilizing the mercy or the grace of the Lord, he is in the mode of passion. Mayavadis, however, interpret this word separatist in different way. They say that while worshipping the Lord, one should think himself one with the Supreme Lord. This is another adulterated form of devotion. Oneness is actually based on oneness of interest. When interest of both are same, it is like state, transcendental state. The Lord is situated in that. Oneness for us is we also to be situated in the transcendental state. A pure devotee has no interest but to act on the behalf of the Supreme Lord. When one has even a tinge of personal interest, his devotion is mixed with the three modes of material nature. Karma nirharam uddisya. What is the reason? What is the interest? Uddisya with the purpose of parasmin va tad arpanam. There was arpanam yajet yastavyam itiva pratak bhava sa satvika. Then what is the problem to be in mode of goodness? We thought, okay, we all know only there is ignorance. Ignorance is bad. Passion is okay. Best is goodness. But here we are saying even in goodness, what is the problem? Yeah. When a devotee worships the Supreme Lord and offers the result of his activities in order to free himself from the inabilities of fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. So even there is a way like, oh no, I don't want bad or good, let me offer everything so that free from the effects of fruitive activities. That is in the mode of goodness. To be in mode of goodness is already great, but that's not everything. Why? We see that the whole varnashrama system of classifying into eight forms. What is that? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and then Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Now these are 8 divisions of Varna and Ashrama, and they have their respective duties to perform. And when one is engaging in the duty to perform, this is the word I was looking. It's called Karmarpanam, which means duties performed for the satisfaction of the Lord. If there is any inability or fault, it is atoned for by their offering process. But if this offering process is made is in the mode of goodness rather than in pure devotion, then the interest is different. Because again, there what we are doing, we are engaging in such a process, just thinking that as the ultimate goal of to be free from all these kind of problems, and doing that is still not in the interest of what the Lord and his devotee should be engaging in. The 4 ashramas and 4 varnas act for some benefit in their accordance of their personal interest. Therefore, such activities are in the mode of goodness. They cannot be counted in the category of pure devotion. Why? Because Rupa Goswami is defining what is pure devotion. Anya bhilasita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhakti uttamam. What is the best bhakti? Bhakti uttamam. Anya bhilashita. No desire for anything. Desire is that explained here? No. Anya bhilashita. So having no. If this opens, Anya bhilashita. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord favorably. Krishna Anushilam, in line with Krishna and his words, and without desire for material profit. Anya bhilashita shunyam, void of all material profit desire, and jnana karmadi anavritam. Jnana, no interest in jnana and karma or any other. Jnana karma anavritam, or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. Anukulyani Krishnanushilanam Bhaktir Uttamam. This is the topmost. So that is the position of a pure devotion. Devotional service in the mode of goodness, ignorance, passion can be divided into 81 categories. How by? All these combinations, when you make this, will come into so many combinations. If you know this permutations. There are different devotional activities such as hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, and when with this whole 9 processes along with 3 different possibilities, when you mix it will come to 81. There is hearing, and now very important. There is hearing in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance, and in the mode of goodness. So one activity, if we take, it has 3 types. Similarly, there is chanting in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness, etc. 3 multiplied by 9 equals 27. And when again multiplied by 3, it becomes 81. One has to transcend all such mixed materialistic devotional service in order to reach the standard of pure devotional service, as explained in the next verses, which we will take next week. Any questions here until now? Anyone want to add anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you Prabhuji for this knowledgeable and eye-opening lecture. So I was thinking about this, what you mentioned, that one should become free from all these mixed up devotion service. So, but is that possible? Like until we become a pure devotee. So one who is not a pure devotee, for that person, this will always be there, like mix up or something.
Yeah, so yeah, that's very nice question. So we are talking about what is pure devotee, devotion, and what is a pure devotee. Yeah, but it's too far away, right? So how can we really reach there? Yeah, so it is like at least knowing what is wrong, what is incomplete, what is inappropriate is already a very good step. Yeah. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this process of chanting, and the chanting also, what does it do is it also clears our heart. Because after all these problems are because we identify with this body, we identify with the modes of nature, we are in this world, and all those things. All this covering is creating all these illusions. But when we engage in this devotional process is not only our goal, it's also our means through which we are attaining to the state of pure transcendence, Shuddha Sattva. So when we engage in the process of devotional life, practicing devotion, all these things are there. But when we take attentive chanting, when we are attentively calling the name of the Lord who is all powerful and present fully in his holy name, that will do the business of cleaning our heart. Yeah. So which means we may be practicing devotion in the mode of ignorance in the beginning, because we always think that what is that I will get, what is that I can be free of, is it I'm going to be famous by this? Yeah, after all, initially there is this motives, different kinds of interests are there. Otherwise people may not be even starting to take devotion, because they think, hey, what is there? There is no gain. When there is no gain, why to take pain? Yeah? So in that spirit we will not do anything. Yeah. So by the mercy of spiritual master, as in one of the purports it came, spiritual master is, what is he doing? He is taking the instructions from the Lord and presenting it to us. And in this via medium, the transcendental instruction will come to our heart to heart connection, and then through this process our purification happens. When the purification happens, we go from mode of ignorance to mode of passion in our devotion, and we will come to the mode of goodness. And because we are still continuing in this path of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu movement, what we will think is, no, it is not just to come and settle in the mode of goodness. Yeah, goodness is nice to think about others, to clear off our to make sure that our bank balance is nil, so that there is no positive effect, there is no negative effect. This is the knowledge. Yeah, but we understand that still this is only for myself. Where is Lord in this? If I'm engaging in a karma yoga, karmarpanam, whatever I'm doing, I'm just giving. It is still just making sure that I am clean. But after I am clean, what is that I have to do is to engage in the transcendental service of the Lord, in the devotional service of the Lord. That will, because we know that is the topmost, we still have one more step to take. Yeah. No, Adira sir, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, yeah, yeah. So knowing is good, and yeah, be
Yeah, no,
focused in
does
the
not to
process.
fall in that pit, right? Because we know, okay, we can identify what kind of devote. Actually, in the next purports, there is a mention with whom we associate and what will be effect of it, yeah, etc. But yeah, so then that's how we have to be guarding our the creeper that we have in our heart, which is, yeah, which is not so stable, right? So when the influences are there, mode of passion, ignorance, and goodness, so accordingly it will be nurtured, it will be affected. The creeper is one thing, but if the things around the creeper are weeds because of our anarthas, because of our own conditioning, if that becomes stronger, that they will start to take more time from us. Yeah, just like if you see in a garden, you have nice rose plant, but around it, if there are some grass which is you didn't desire, which is not good, what will happen is they will also take the water in the soil, they will also take the nutrition from the soil, sunlight and everything. What happens is then the energy that has to go one point focus uh, to the plant, the main rose plant will not go. Similarly, the Bhakti Lata, yeah, is somehow by the mercy of spiritual master, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it has got started to blossom. Uh, what we have to do is we have to care it very well. And I mean, I was thinking, after some time, the fruits keep on coming. But initially, even before the creeper can come to that level, a lot of care is required. Just like a mango tree. A mango tree, maybe when you plant it 1 2 years 3 years, you have to give a lot of care. Yeah, you have to put the urea, you have to give it proper care against pesticides, everything. But after certain stage, yeah, this tree is so big that it can give shade to so many, it can give fruits to so many. Yeah. What do you say?
Yes, correct, Prabhuji. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Mm.
Like, did you answer what you answered is really nice, and I completely understand this. But as you said, that there are 81 combinations. So in a day, I don't think so. Like one can be perfectly in one in the mode of passion, but being in the ignorance. Maybe it's a mixture throughout the day because our state is also influenced by external circumstances. So what I wanted to ask is, maybe if we progress also in our bhakti life, so this correspondence to the outside circumstances, how the nature fluctuate, and for that matter our bhakti fluctuate in that mode, will it also get stabilized, or we will always have to guard ourselves from the outside circumstances, or we will become strong face those circumstances?
Mm.
How
So your question is that they, we will always continuously be in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, and the influence of that will affect our bhakti. Yeah.
in a day we can be, maybe I have full day of yatra, bhakti yatra. Not in the full day I will be doing my bhakti in the mode of ignorance, not passion. It will be sometime maybe in ignorance, passion, and everything mixed.
Mm.
Because that also comes maybe from my nature, 50%, and 50% I think maybe from the circumstances or situation coming
Mm-hmm.
from outside. So what I wanted to know is if we grow further,
Mm-hmm.
like as you were explaining, that okay, we start from ignorance, passion, and one day we will definitely advance if we keep doing our sadhana better. So at that point of the time also, like we will grow inertly strong to face those external circumstances, or then also like.
Mhm. So, how do we handle the internal and external influences, factors?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, in the nectar of instruction, there is the dhairyat, utsahat. Yeah. What is the starting? Utsahat, dhairya, nish. What is the verse I forgot? Um, anyway, so what I wanted to tell is that. One um, I'm saying is there are these favorable conditions. The more you do the favorable condition, it will keep you more in that mood, in that consciousness, right? It's very simple. And when you're saying the activity is influencing outside, there also will be there. Just imagine outside factors are favorable, hmm, then it's nice, right?
Yeah, but all the time, outside factors is not definitely not control, and it will not be favorable all the time.
Why? If you put yourself in good environment, you will have good circumstances. Yeah, you just imagine if you are only in the devotees sangha. Yeah, it is said. I mean, through the instructions, we know what should we do so that we are in that situation. Otherwise, why are these instructions there? If we can still think, oh no, there can be some X factor, Y factor, there is no purpose of these instructions. Yeah? One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary, or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subjects, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them, not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. So these are people what we should not do. And then there are 6 things what we should do. Huh? And I was referring to this, where उत्साह निश्चय धैर्य तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तते प्रवर्तनात् संगत्याग सतो वृत्ति शब्देर bhaktir prasidhyati. So this is saying what are the 6 things we should engage. So when we are doing this, what is going to happen?
But definitely advancement is so that only I wanted.
No, when advancement is happening, then what is the influence of negative energy around you? It is something like the world is not going to change, you are changing.
Now, indirectly, that only I
Yeah,
transform in that way
yeah,
that it will not affect. Yeah, maybe because
yeah.
things will keep on
Immune,
going.
you get immune to what is happening. So this is something like the example of a flight. When the flight is in the airport and then it comes on the runway, all the buildings are huge and big and all these things are there. A flight cannot walk or cannot just go on the runway forever. But what is happening when it is given proper propel and also in angle so that it starts flying off, taking off. After that, the building is there. Building is not changing. But what is happening is we are uh, going above and beyond all those conditioning. For that, there is this process. You have to come to the runway. You can't just simply fly from where it is. There is these rules and regulations. The rules and regulations are like you have to come from that place to a place where the runway is there, and then runway is there. You start accelerating. When the right time comes, you start. So all this is the process.
And just to know that we are going in the right process, my understanding is correct. But we can now sometimes it is working reactive and responsive method. Maybe react to the situation, circumstances, and respond like that. Maybe if we reach advance in our path, we'll be little more stable.
No, you do one thing. First phrase your question and then ask.
No, the question is this only that finally our response and reaction will shift to a state where we don't feel the urge of immediate response, immediate reaction, and we are more stable and calm.
Was that a question or were you saying
No,
something? I didn't get it.
That, this can be a symptom for knowing for ourselves that we are advancing, that how we take the situations.
So what you're saying is to be composed, is that a symptom or a sign that we have advanced? Yeah, of course. Yeah. But also people who are insensitive also will have this. The person who is insensitive to, he will also have the same symptom because he doesn't care what is happening. A madman is insensitive to what is happening around him, or a person who is drunkard, he will also insensitive to what others are telling. So it is important that's why it is said, what is that is favorable to Krishna, and if you perform that, then only that can be guaranteed that okay, when we have this composure, it is a right composure. But a composure also can be for a drunkard guy where he doesn't care. He's also, if you torture also him when he is drunkard, he will not feel anything. So we have to see what is the process that we have took. Only after that we can say whether this state of consciousness is a right consciousness or not, or is still because of mode of ignorance.
Actually, the answer to this question is also there in Bhagavad Gita last chapter, last paragraph, where Prabhupada writes, Krishna can be known only by one who surrenders to him in devotional service. If Arjuna takes to direct devotional process free of karma and jnana, he need not fear any sinful reaction because Krishna will protect him. Under Krishna's protection, the pure devotee reaches Krishna's shelter. Krishna again instructs Arjuna in surrender and encourages him to attain peace in the supreme eternal abode. So Prabhupada says Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, these are within the modes, within the realm of the nodes. After crossing Ashtanga Yoga, then we have Brahman realization, that is liberation beyond the modes. I think that is ultimate Bhakti Yoga. I think this is. I think this is what we have to.
Paramatma realization, Brahman realization, and then Bhakti. Yeah,
pure
Bhagwan
devotional
realization.
service.
This is about the 3 levels, na? Brahmeti, Bhagwaneti, sorry, Brahmeti, Parameti, Bhagwaneti. So that is the levels. Of course, it's not like you have to go from this to this to this. If you go there, you're already understanding this everything. Yeah. Yeah. Did it answer your question or? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we can close the call. Yeah, and heartily welcome back for some who have joined after a long gap. Let us see us tomorrow. I think we can't have the session because we will be in Himachalam, and yeah, we'll have a catch up next week. Thank you very much. Panchakalparabhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Grantha Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.